I'm here at TeslaCon with Dave Lee. You all know him from his long-term coverage of Tesla. He's not just a long-term Tesla investor, he talks about life and parenting topics as well. So today we'll get to know a little bit more about Dave and his journey with Tesla. Click subscribe to stay updated to more interviews like this. Dave, what is one thing most people do not already know about you?
I think one of the things is recently I've been getting into tennis. Like I used to play tennis, at school as a hobby in high school, but been trying to get more exercise. So about 3 or 4 months ago, started getting more lessons, hitting partners. So I've been playing tennis like 2 or 3 times a week, getting great exercise. Never talk about it yet, but this is the first time, share.
That's a very interesting fun fact. So any tennis fans, one day you come down to Texas, you may have someone to play with. So Dave, you've been investing in Tesla for a long time. Can you share with us how did the journey begin?
Yeah, so it started probably back in 2012. We had started an iPhone, Android software company, and we had generated some capital where we were trying to invest. And I was looking for an amazing opportunity that could return like 25% compounded, over many years. And it was really hard to find. And around that time, after searching for a few years, I ran into a lot of articles about Elon Musk, and I did almost a 6-month deep dive on him, going into every single interview, article, and this was when Tesla was right about to launch their Model S vehicle. And I started to invest slowly into Tesla at that time, and it wasn't until like October, November when I got the first test drive on the Model S. That's when I had a lot of conviction, and we started to go, almost all in at that time. And since then, it's been kind of a gradual journey of learning more about the company, and because as the stock price goes up, there's higher expectations, and so you need to know, can they fulfill these higher expectations? And so there's been different stages. So the first stage was kind of like in 2013-14, the stock price did maybe a 6x very quickly. And so I had to figure out, can Tesla deliver in far excess than expectations? And so I had to do I spent a couple years just almost full time just researching, writing a lot on forums online, and that gave me confidence to hold, for many years. And then recently with the COVID jump, we saw Tesla do a big spike, and so there's another question: can Tesla do another big? Can it justify its valuation? And so recently in the past year or two, I've been looking into more AI, artificial intelligence, full self-driving robots, seeing if Tesla really has a good chance or not to outperform, right? To go beyond expectations. So it's kind of a summary of my journey.
So you've been through the S-curve of EVs with Tesla, and right now you believe that in the future Tesla will not be known just as a car company, but an AI company. And you've put out a lot of videos talking about your thoughts there. How has it evolved? Did anything yesterday impact your current thinking about it?
Yeah, so probably it was over a year ago when I started to tweet out and talk about how Tesla, I think, has this huge opportunity with artificial intelligence, especially with robots, and how that could be the next big market after full self-driving. But it wasn't confirmed. It was just kind of these ideas. And I had this sense that if Tesla could make eventually an AI robot, the market would be practically unlimited, and that could justify this next big, maybe 10 or 15 or 20 year kind of period for Tesla's valuation. So it was kind of hopeful, and it wasn't until Tesla AI Day last summer where Elon confirmed Tesla is going to make a robot, and then again, more recently, he's confirming this is one of their top priorities. And he's getting more excited about it, and it just reaffirms kind of like, oh, okay, Tesla isn't stopping with just cars, it isn't stopping just with full self-driving, but it's setting its sight on practically unlimited market, of artificial intelligence and robots. So yeah, it's very unexpected. I didn't expect Tesla to jump into it so quickly. I thought it would be a few years later when they solve full self-driving more completely, that they could jump into robots. But yeah, they're moving fast, and so yeah, it's definitely exciting.
At Giga Texas, Elon reconfirmed again yesterday that we'll see production of the Tesla bot by next year, potentially. So some critics may say, is that like what people say about FSD, where it's been an 8-year wait? Or would it be more like the Model 3 and Model Y, where it really came pretty much on time, if not earlier for the Model Y?
Yeah, it's probably a combo of both a little bit. Like, I think that their robot plans probably are developing pretty well. They might have some type of prototype, by the end of the year, and maybe start some type of limited production. It might just be for commercial clients. It might be for internal. Consumer robots, I think, is going to be harder. It's going to take some time, and especially because the iterations are going to improve so fast. So you sell a robot and it's outdated so quickly. So I'm not expecting by the end of next year for people to order one. But who knows, we'll see. It's one of those things like no one really knows, because only Elon and his team have seen the progress. But I'm being kind of conservative with expectations, right? Hoping to see a prototype next year and then limited deployments commercially, internally, and then gradually, a consumer rollout. So yeah, we'll see.
So as Dave called out, Elon also mentioned the first use of Tesla bot will be in Tesla's own factories. It's not like full self-driving where you need a pretty high bar of safety, like 10 times safer than humans, before rapid deployment. You need to get legislation approval, authorities need to go through it, you need to win the hearts and minds of public and also governments. But Tesla bots can be more sequential, step by step. Progress can happen a lot faster.
Sure.
How have you evolved as a Tesla investor over these 8 years? Almost 10 years now, 12, 13 years.
Yeah, I think in the beginning, my kind of perspective was more from the technology background. So I grew up in Silicon Valley, seeing a lot of tech companies rise and fall, super early, like smartphone user and all that, and saw the iPhone, got into apps. And so when I looked at Tesla, it was more from the lens of, a tech company can disrupt an older, kind of slower moving, icy industry. But over the years, like Tesla has started to evolve too. They no longer describe themselves as just a car company. And it's also like, sometimes there are different stages. Like Tesla was really excited about Powerwalls and Megapacks, Tesla Energy for a while. And some people thought that was going to be the next big thing. But it's taken a while for that to get off. So you have to adapt. And so the big thing right now is FSD and AI robots. And the question is this going to be kind of a fad, a short-term thing, or is this really going to be something that's going to drive 10, 20 years of growth for Tesla? And so to discern that, it's not easy. And you've got to understand kind of the basics of artificial intelligence, the basics of like what Tesla is doing and what competitors are doing. So I've had to evolve too and kind of learn at least the basics of how to evaluate different approaches. And that's probably the biggest thing, And I credit like people like James Dama for helping a lot, helping me get background in that area. I also just do a lot of dabbling, watching videos and reading articles, trying to get at least decently proficient in that level so that I can evaluate, and that's the thing. You think that with AI, you only need technology or a technical AI background, but I think you need a multidisciplinary background, because oftentimes technology adoption is not just because of technology, it's because of a business model or the demand is the right, it's very complex. And so just because AI doesn't mean you can evaluate AI. But sometimes you need many different disciplines. So it's helpful actually if you don't have an AI background, but you have a ton of other backgrounds and you learn AI, you could actually have an advantage over people who just know AI in terms of evaluating the direction of something. But yeah, it's definitely evolved my kind of approach to evaluating Tesla.
We grow as investors as well with the companies we invest in over years. Tesla has grown in complexity and ambition. Its mission will continue to expand, and the master plan part 3 will probably be out soon. Dave has a video about his thoughts on it. I'll put a link down in the video description. So Dave, for many in the Tesla community, they see you as an institution as well. So Elon's known as the Techno King, and Zach Kirkhorn is the Master of Coin. What title would you have?
Yeah, I don't really view myself as having necessarily a crucial title because Tesla company, the employees, they do so much, the management do so much. I'm actually just a happy Tesla investor, shareholder, and I'm happy just to stay on the sidelines and to cheer on, to share my thoughts, help people out. Yeah, so kind of like maybe a happy Tesla shareholder in the background. I like that.
I fully agree that yesterday, Grace and I were at Giga Texas. We just saw Dave at level 2 checking out the structural battery pack. Just like us, just like any other ordinary person. Nothing special, really grounded. And Dave talked a little bit about it as well, on how life changes over time. And I want to ask this next question. Tesla has rewarded early investors very well. Money is like health, the more the better, but it's not the reason why we live. What inspires you today?
Yeah, I tend to look at things as if like I'm 20 years or 30 years in the future looking back and try to evaluate I don't want to do things that I regret or not do things I regret. So I try to live like every day as if it's my last day. Like I'd be happy, if this is my last day. And so a lot of that means like hanging out with my kids the most I can and just kind of embracing them, because I feel like my biggest investment probably will be my kids in terms of relationship and what that will happen. And then so it's something where I feel like if I could just be helpful, right, to my family, and then also be helpful to others, right? And I know I can't help others in a million ways, but sometimes, if I could share some helpful ideas or thoughts or some clarity. If anything, I think in a busy world, people get lost in how fast things go, things get blurry. And for me, one of the things I do is I just take a break. And sometimes I'll just think for 3 or 4 hours on something until I get clarity, until it makes sense. And then I'll share that in a video. And if that can help somebody kind of think a little clearly, get to what's true a little bit quicker, then I think, I've done actually a good job, a good thing for that day. And I don't really have quantity per se ambition. I'm not necessarily trying to reach 1 billion people. My whole thing is I think there's a combination where the quality matters a lot too, of what you're sharing. And so a lot of my approach is more geared toward the quality, right? I'm just kind of sharing the insights, the clarity that I can get. And whether one person listens or 1 million person listens, that's not up to me, It's up to the YouTube gods or algorithm.
That is one of the gifts that you bring, that you don't just tell us what to do, but you also help us reflect on who to be in our mind. A lot of what happens in life begins in our mind. The watch we're wearing, the clothes, the iPhone, the Sony camera we're using, everything began as a vision in someone's mind. And family is very important to you. While it sounds like making this YouTube channel impacts a lot of people, you do spend a lot of time on it. It is also in a way a time capsule for your children, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the main reasons why I started the channel. Because with finance, what I've noticed is there's so much making money at all costs. That's the typical finance approach. And it's all about money, right? And I don't really want my kids to adopt that worldview, especially with finances and the world. I think there's a much more balanced approach, a much more kind of holistic approach to finances and life, where no, you don't have to value that as the only thing. The most important thing is and the cutthroat, But I want to leave my kids with something that you can actually have an advantage, not just with finances, but with business, with life, relationships. If you actually can think clearer, if you can have more wisdom, and you could do it with caring for people and the world holistically. I wanted to share that message with my kids because I just don't find that message shared much in financial media. And so, that was my concern. If I die today, my kids wouldn't have what I would think is the best learning resources in terms of values, right? So I want to leave a little bit for them as much as I can, and if it can help others as well, that's fantastic too. That's like, yeah.
And I want to say that it's not just the YouTube channel that's a time capsule for your kids. Whatever happens in the future, like the people whose lives you touch, they will be telling stories to your family as well. So we all really appreciate that. It sounds like you've had a lot of time to think about things and grow. If the 2012 Dave Lee, who first started writing on the Tesla Motors Club, had a time machine to come to meet the present Dave Lee, what would he be most surprised by?
I think the 2012 Dave Lee probably was still searching for kind of a vision for family and kids. Like I was married, but I didn't understand like why have kids, what's the point? I was kind of on the fence. But 2022 Dave Lee has actually a really exciting and firm grasp on kind of the vision and the reason, to really invest in kids. That's I think a big change. And I think also 2012 Dave Lee might be kind of surprised that 2022 Dave Lee is seeing Tesla have another possible big run with full self-driving and humanoid robots, just because it's hard in 2012 for a lot of people to fathom that Tesla would be a huge car maker. But then you add on full self-driving and possibility of AI robots. It's remarkable that actually I think a single company can have like these multiple possible runs. But otherwise I think generally I'm like very similar to the same Dave Lee as 2012, or even 2022, 2002. I'm pretty chill, pretty low key, and I've always been kind of more thoughtful, always trying to take a step back. And it's funny because with YouTube, you assume that like I enjoy being around people all the time. I love people, I love talking, I love all that stuff, but I spend majority of my time just kind of more isolated in my thoughts, trying to gain control of my thoughts, trying to weed out the anxiety, weed out the cloudiness, right? And so it's something I've been doing for decades, right? That is probably my main activity that I still do today. Is kind of more of this thoughtful meditation, isolated kind of thinking process. Yeah.
And it sounds, to me, it comes across like that gives you a lot more joy and inner peace.
Yeah, I mean, I was super clear with the purpose actually before because I spent my all in the 2000s. I spent like building a nonprofit, really hanging out with like the poorest of the world, going to really poor countries, and it really hit me just the needs of the world. And so I've always kind of since then I've been in touch with the context of investing. For me, the context of investing was always multiplying resources to do something with that, right? To do things that I wasn't able to without those resources. So it's exciting. I'm thinking next 10 years I'm hoping to do more getting my kids and family involved by traveling, seeing more of the world. If I'm still doing YouTube, who knows, getting YouTube community, family together to connect with the needs of the world, like that to me is exciting, looking forward to it.
Dave, thank you for sharing your thoughts, your views, and again, the gift of everything you bring to us every week on YouTube.
Yeah.
While we're worlds apart, Singapore is 18 hours away from Texas right now. I just feel a lot more connected. Technology helps.
Yeah, it's great meeting you, Daren, and your wife. Super amazing family and couple. And very connected, I feel, to people in Singapore, your channel, Chicken's channel, and others. One day, would love to visit. And just thank you for having me on your channel. I appreciate it.
You will have a lot of warm hosts when you come visit Singapore one day.
Awesome, thanks.
With that, if you found this video useful, you like the interview, please click the like button. Hit subscribe to stay updated to more interviews like this. Take care and signing off from TeslaCon.